Sometimes, the hardest part isn't walking away, it's knowing when to walk away. Jack spent years fighting for a love that wasn't his anymore, but the truth always has a way of surfacing. Amanda's lies weren't just whispered in the shadows, they were paraded in front of everyone, in the name of a love that had long since faded. What started as a relationship built on promises and dreams became a stage for manipulation, where the script was rewritten time and time again. But Jack didn't let her define him. After the truth unraveled, and after the pain of betrayal cut deeper than anything he thought he could endure, he made a decision. He walked away, not out of spite, but because some battles aren't worth fighting, and some people aren't worth keeping. What he found wasn't freedom in revenge, it was something better, peace. Real peace. And it came not from winning, but from letting go. Now, with nothing left to prove, Jack is left to rebuild his life from the ashes of the past. But the question is, will the scars of the past ever fully heal, or will they linger as reminders of the price he paid for freedom? Thank you. Truly. Your time, your attention, and your support mean more than words can express. You've walked with me through this journey, through the ups and downs, the heartache and the breakthroughs. And now, as we stand at the edge of a new chapter, I can't help but feel grateful for the connection we've built. But this story isn't just mine, it's ours. Each one of you has a role to play in how it unfolds. Your thoughts, your comments, your advice, everything you share helps to shape the next steps. So, let's dig in together. Let's take this story to places we haven't even imagined yet. Whether you're here for the twists, the healing, or the raw moments of truth, your voice matters. So, what do you think? What's your take on the journey so far? How have you found freedom in your own life when you needed it most? Share your thoughts, share your wisdom, and let's build something real from this. The journey's just beginning, and I'm so grateful to have you along for the ride. Let's keep digging deeper. We're just getting started. Welcome to our channel. Please hit the like button and subscribe. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Let us know where you're watching from, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's get started. It was meant to be a celebration. 10 years of marriage, a decade of love and commitment. Ethan had pulled out all the stops. He'd rented a private room at a luxurious restaurant downtown, arranged for a stunning flower display in Sophie's favorite colors, and even invited her distant relatives in hopes of reconciling old differences. However, by the end of the night, Ethan would find himself emotionally bruised, his pride crushed in front of a room full of guests. Sophie arrived 40 minutes late, making an entrance as if it were deliberate, her lateness cloaked in the guise of fashionably late. That was the first indication something was off. Sophie, at 34 years old, looked nothing like the woman he had married. Gone were the soft, flowing dresses that once characterized her warmth and charm. Instead, she wore a striking black dress that clung to her figure in all the wrong ways, her eyes sharply focused as she surveyed the room. She wasn't walking in as a wife. No, she was making a statement. Ethan stood near the entrance, next to his cousin James, awkwardly greeting guests, his smile strained as he struggled to make small talk. The moment Sophie entered the room, there was an undeniable shift in the air. Conversations halted, eyes turned. Her heels clicked confidently on the polished floor, each step echoing louder than the last. Her eyes met Ethan's, cool and indifferent. "You look different," he muttered, as if trying to make sense of the person standing before him. Sophie smiled, her lips painted a bold crimson. "It's a special night, isn't it?" Ethan shuddered involuntarily. Something was wrong. Dinner proceeded, but the tension was palpable. Sophie's mother, Catherine, a woman known for her cold, judgmental nature, whispered to her daughter in hushed tones, while her younger sister, Clara, sipped wine with a grin that made everyone else feel like fools for not being in on some secret. Ethan tried to steer the conversation toward their son, Leo, now studying abroad. He proudly shared how Leo had excelled academically, worked part-time, and still managed to call home every Sunday. Sophie's response was flat. "He's fine," she said, before turning her attention back to her food, barely looking up from her plate. The room felt heavier, the conversation more strained with every passing minute. Then, Sophie rose abruptly, holding her wine glass high. "I want to thank you all for coming tonight," she began, her voice smooth, but colder than usual. "I know this evening was meant to celebrate our 10 years of marriage." A pause. Ethan's heart stopped. "But I've realized something recently, something that changes everything for me," she continued, her gaze unwavering. Ethan felt his stomach drop. "Sophia, what are you?" "I'm not asking for a divorce." "Not yet." "But I need space," she finished, her eyes finally locking with his. "I want my freedom." The words rang in Ethan's ears like a death knell, the finality hanging in the air like a cloud. What had happened to the woman he once knew, the woman he had loved so deeply? "I want an open marriage," she said. Mark froze, the clink of a spoon hitting the floor echoing through the quiet room. His sister, Emily, smirked from the corner, clearly entertained by the unfolding scene. Emily's mother, Catherine, nodded in approval, her expression cool and detached as if this were part of some strange rite of passage. "I've felt trapped for years," Emily continued, her voice flat. "Jack is a good provider. But emotionally, romantically, I've felt alone." Jack stood slowly, his face going pale. "You're announcing this here? In front of my family? On our anniversary?" Emily met his gaze steadily. "I wanted to make it real. No more secrets." "No more secrets?" Jack's voice rose. "What the hell is this, Emily? Some kind of performance?" Catherine clicked her tongue disapprovingly. "Don't overreact, Jack. If you'd paid attention to your wife instead of your endless meetings and spreadsheets, you would have seen this coming." Emily added with a casual shrug, "Honestly, it's brave. Most women just suffer in silence." Jack felt the walls of the room closing in on him. He turned toward his mother, who sat in stunned silence, pale and wide-eyed. His father cleared his throat, but said nothing. "I want to explore other connections," Emily said, her tone still cool. "And I want you to respect that." Jack's face flushed with disbelief. "You're asking me to stay married while you sleep around?" Emily's gaze never wavered. "I'm telling you the truth. I've already met someone." Every part of Jack shattered in that moment. He didn't argue, didn't beg. He took a breath, pushed his chair back, and said with surprising calmness, "Then congratulations. You're free. I'm out." He left the room, his footsteps echoing in the silence that followed. The cold air outside seemed almost comforting, but it couldn't touch the emptiness inside him. He didn't go home that night. Instead, he found himself parked in a deserted lot on the outskirts of town. His engine was off, but his mind raced with every moment over the past year that now made sense. Emily had grown distant, colder. He thought it was stress, a phase. Her sudden interest in fitness, the secretive texts, the unguarded smiles at her phone. But now, it was all painfully clear. Emily hadn't just checked out of their marriage, she'd moved on. The next morning, Jack didn't shower, didn't shave. He called his lawyer, Ingrid Mallon, a ruthless, sharp-edged woman who never lost a case. "I need a file," he told her. Fast and quiet. "I'm done," Jack said, his voice cold. Ingrid, his lawyer, was calm as ever. "What happened?" "She told my whole family she wants an open marriage," Jack replied, his hands clenched around the phone. "At our anniversary dinner. Then she said she's already met someone." There was a brief silence. Ingrid's voice remained steady. "I'll clear my schedule." Within a few days, Emily received the divorce papers. Jack was sure she'd be shocked. Not by the divorce itself, but by how quickly it came. She wasn't expecting retaliation. She probably thought he would comply, be the weak, obedient man who swallowed his pride, accepted her terms, and let her carry on with her affair in peace. Instead, Jack had drawn the line. But then came Emily's next move. She didn't panic. She went for damage control. Emily took to social media, posting vulnerable, soft captions, sometimes love needs to evolve to survive. Don't judge what you don't understand. Her loyal followers, most of whom were more devoted to their wine glasses than to Emily herself, began spreading the narrative. Jack emotionally abandoned her, they said. He wasn't fulfilling her needs. They were practically roommates. Ingrid shook her head as she read aloud from one of Emily's posts, "He stopped touching me. He stopped listening. I gave him everything, and he gave me silence." Jack's anger simmered. "She's rewriting history," he muttered bitterly. "Then rewrite it louder," Ingrid urged, leaning in. "Give me something." And so, Jack did. In the weeks that followed, he kept a low profile. But beneath that calm surface, he began pulling strings. Not petty revenge. No. This was strategic dismantling. Quiet. Professional. Devastating. He moved their financial accounts out of joint control. He gathered receipts, bank statements, and digital footprints. All legal. All damning. Emily had more than one someone. Jack had confirmed there were at least 3 men she'd been involved with over the last year. One was her personal trainer. Another was a business consultant she'd hired for a boutique that never opened. The third? A mutual friend, someone Jack had worked with, married, and still trusted. But Jack didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, he decided to turn the narrative around. It started with the truth. Jack made a quiet post on his private profile, no theatrics, no name-calling. Sometimes love ends in silence. Other times, it ends with a speech in front of everyone you love. "I'm choosing to walk away with dignity. But that doesn't mean I was the villain. Just the one who refused to clap for the betrayal." It spread quickly. Friends, family, even co-workers reached out in shock. Messages flooded his inbox. "I had no idea, man. I was at that dinner. What she did wasn't love. That was theater. Respect for how you're handling this." Emily responded in the only way she knew, by doubling down. She called Jack controlling, emotionally unavailable, cold. But the more she spoke, the more cracks appeared in her story. The more defensive she became, the more the truth began to leak out. Then came the medical twist. One Thursday afternoon, Jack came home from work to find a letter in his mailbox. No return address. Inside, it was handwritten, sloppy, rushed. "I'm sick. I think it's something serious. An infection. I might need help. I can't cover the bills alone. Please." No signature. But the handwriting was unmistakable. Jack read it 3 times, his fingers curling around the paper before he crumpled it and tossed it into the trash. The next day, his phone buzzed. It was Emily. She didn't say hello. Didn't apologize. She just launched right into it. "I'm going to the hospital today. My insurance doesn't cover everything. I have something. And I think I got it from the guy I was seeing. But it could have been before we split. I don't know. I need you to pay for part of the treatment." Jack went still. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice tight with disbelief. "You cheat on me. Tell the world I'm some cold-hearted statue. Announce an open marriage in front of my family. And now you want me to pay for the fallout of your flings?" Her voice cracked, almost inaudible. "It's not just about me. I think I'm pregnant too." His heart didn't sink. It froze. "Excuse me?" he asked, barely able to process the words. "I'm late," she said. "It's not yours." Jack snapped. "After Lily was born, I had a vasectomy. You just never knew." Silence. Then a single whisper. "You're lying." "No," Jack replied, his voice tight. "You are. And you've been lying for a long, long time." He hung up, but he knew this wasn't over. Emily would return. And the next time, she'd come with something far more destructive. But Jack? He was ready to burn the entire illusion to the ground. Emily didn't text again for 2 days. Then came a picture, a grainy photo of a pregnancy test. The kind anyone could buy for under $20 at a drugstore. The second line was faint, but visible. "This is happening, Jack. Whether you like it or not." Jack stared at the image with strange, numb detachment. He forwarded it to Ingrid. Her reply came within seconds, "LOL. Not your circus, not your monkey. We'll demand a DNA test in court if she pushes." But Emily didn't push. Not right away. Instead, she went quiet. Too quiet. For someone like Emily, that was a warning siren. Then came the whispers, from coworkers, from neighbors, even from Lily. "Mom's not doing well, Lily," said one evening over the phone. "She's saying a lot of things. That you abandoned her. That you don't care she's sick. That you knew she was pregnant and cut her off anyway." Jack sat down slowly, his mind racing. "And what do you believe?" "I don't know," Lily whispered. "I want to believe her, but she's not making sense. She says the baby is yours, that you two slept together before she left." "Did you?" "No," Jack said flatly. "And even if I had a vasectomy when you were 6. Silence. "Why?" Lily finally asked. "I knew we were done," Jack said softly. "Even then. I just didn't want to face it. But I knew we weren't building a family. We were surviving one." Lily was quiet. Then, she said, "I don't want to believe her, but she's going to ask for money. She already told Grandma she'd get the court involved." "Let her," Jack said, his voice steady. "I'm not scared of paperwork." But fear wasn't what Emily brought next. It was theater. She arrived at his doorstep 3 days later, unannounced. Wearing sunglasses too large for her face and a sweater 7 sizes bigger than needed. Her hair was limp, her skin pale, and her lips cracked. She looked like a ghost. Beside her stood Catherine, arms folded tightly, like she was personally escorting Emily to her doom. "You can't ignore this anymore," Catherine snapped before Jack could speak. "She's sick. She's pregnant," Catherine continued, her tone sharp. "And you're legally tied, whether you like it or not." Jack leaned against the doorframe, his arms crossed. "Tied to what? A woman who humiliated me in front of everyone and now wants a blank check?" Emily's voice was weak, almost pleading. "Jack, I'm scared. They think it's an infection in pregnancy. I need proper care." Jack's eyebrow arched. "And what makes you think I'll fund this?" "Because it could be yours," Emily said, her voice trembling. Jack's jaw twitched. "I had a vasectomy." "Look it up," she shot back, not blinking. "I will," Jack said coldly. "In court. And when the results come back, and the baby's not mine, and your infection is documented as coming from someone else, you'll have nothing." Emily's face cracked, not from shame, but from rage. "You're heartless." "No," Jack said, his voice icily calm. "I'm free. And I intend to stay that way." He slammed the door in her face. But that visit wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Emily's legal team, led by a slimy lawyer named Richard Gallo, who specialized in emotional restitution cases, filed a paternity motion within the week. Jack responded with documentation of the vasectomy and demanded a court-ordered DNA test. The court granted it. And so began the slowest, most agonizing wait of Jack's life. In the meantime, Emily escalated her smear campaign. Her social media was littered with cryptic posts. Being sick, pregnant, and alone is the universe's cruelest joke. He said he'd always protect me, then disappeared when I needed him most. Some people only love you when you're smiling and silent. Emily's followers offered hearts, flowers, and even money, donations for her recovery journey. Jack watched it all unfold like a man observing a fire he'd already walked away from. But Lily was torn. She visited both homes, hugged both parents. In her eyes, Jack saw the weight of betrayal and guilt she couldn't voice. "She says you manipulated her," Lily whispered once during dinner. "She thinks you wanted her to fall apart." Jack put his fork down, his jaw tightening. "I wanted her to face consequences, not to collapse." "Same thing," Lily muttered under her breath. Then came the call. Ingrid, his lawyer, her voice tight with anticipation. "We got the results." Jack's pulse pounded in his ears. "You're not the father," Ingrid said. 0% match. Jack exhaled. It was a relief. It was confirmation of everything. But it wasn't over yet. The court date came swiftly. Emily sat in the front row, pale and tense, with Catherine by her side. Gallo, the snake, made one last plea for financial support, citing emotional distress and marital deception. Ingrid rose calmly. "My client had a vasectomy, Your Honor. The child is not biologically his. The timeline proves no sexual contact. And the petitioner knowingly filed under false pretenses." The judge didn't even need deliberation. Claim denied. For the first time, Jack saw fear in Emily's eyes. Real fear. Not performance. Not spin. The courtroom emptied. Emily remained seated, her shoulders slumped. Jack passed by her without stopping. But as he reached the doors, her voice stopped him. "I was really sick, Jack," she said, her voice cracking. "I could have died." He turned, his expression unreadable. "But you didn't." "I loved you once," she said softly. "I loved a version of you that never existed," Jack replied. Then, he turned and walked away. Jack didn't look back after that day in court. The DNA test was official. The judge had ruled in his favor. Emily's fake claims had crumbled. But that didn't mean peace followed. Emily wasn't finished. She just shifted her strategy. Emily disappeared from the public eye for a while. No more posts. No calls. No drama. It was too quiet. That made Jack uneasy. Lily visited one weekend. She looked exhausted. "She moved in with someone else," Lily said softly. "Not a boyfriend. Just some guy who lets her stay in exchange for company." Jack's stomach tightened. He didn't feel pity. Not anymore. But it still hurt that Mia was stuck in the middle. "She blames you," Lily added. "She says if you'd just helped her once, she wouldn't have fallen this far." Jack stared into his coffee, not responding. "And what do you believe?" he finally asked. Lily didn't answer. That silence said enough. Then came the final move. Emily sent him a video. Not through court. Not through lawyers. Directly to his phone. In it, she looked frail. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "You said you loved me. Then you let me rot. I may not survive this pregnancy. My infection's worse. I have nothing left. If I die, just know, you killed the last piece of me." Jack didn't reply. But something cracked inside him. Not guilt. Not regret. Just finality. He knew then. This was Emily's last weapon. Emotional blackmail. Her health. Her child. Her pain. All turned into tools to keep him tethered. But he refused. Later that week, Ingrid called. "She's filing a civil motion," she said. "For emotional neglect." Jack didn't flinch. Let her. They went back to court. Again. This time, the judge was less patient. Emily wept. Not me, she whispered. Then why does it feel like you still have power over me? Jack walked away. Weeks passed after the final court dismissal. Jack didn't celebrate. He didn't toast victory. Or feel vindicated. What he felt was silence. Not peace. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that follows a storm. When the house still stands, but something inside is broken forever. Jack went back to his life. Work. Late nights. Gym visits. Grocery store trips where no one asked questions. He became a man with no scandal attached anymore. Just a quiet presence in a town that slowly moved on. Emily didn't. The last update came from Lily. Hesitant. Soft-spoken. Filled with guilt. She lost the baby, Lily said over the phone. Jack sat still, letting that sink in. He didn't know what to say. He didn't ask how. Or when. He didn't even ask if Emily was okay. I'm sorry, Lily said, her voice cracking. You don't have to be, Jack replied. It wasn't mine. And she made her choices. Lily was quiet. Then she asked something he didn't expect. Do you think she ever really loved you? He thought for a long time. I think she loved the version of me she could control. The version who stayed quiet. Paid the bills. Let things slide. And when you stopped, she stopped too. That silence between them lingered. Lily didn't push further. Emily didn't try again. No more messages. No more doorstep please. She vanished. A few months later, Jack heard from a mutual friend that she'd left the city. Moved into a shared apartment with a cousin in another state. Catherine had cut contact too. Rumor had it she blamed Emily for embarrassing the family beyond repair. No one knew where Clara was. And Luke? He moved into a smaller home, near the lake. A quiet place with wooden floors, big windows, and space for no one but himself. Lily still visited. Less often now. She seemed lighter. More at peace. As if the chaos had finally loosened its grip. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun go down, Lily looked at him and asked softly, Do you ever think about what would have happened if you stayed? Jack didn't hesitate. She would have buried me alive. Lily nodded. She understood now in ways she hadn't before. Later that night, after she left, Jack stood in his kitchen, staring at a dusty photo frame he hadn't touched in years. It was from their first anniversary. Emily in white, smiling wide, her hand on his chest. Jack opened the frame, removed the photo, and quietly burned it in the sink. Not out of hate, but because some truths didn't need to be remembered anymore. The next morning, he made coffee, fed the neighbor's cat, and watched the sky turn pink over the lake. Emily's story had ended in a lie. A performance gone too far. And she paid for it. Not with money. Not with jail time. But with the very thing she thought she could control, her legacy. Because now, no one believed her anymore. And Jack. He didn't need revenge anymore. He had something better. Freedom. Real freedom. Not the kind Emily had demanded in a room full of people to justify her betrayal. But the kind that comes from knowing that you walked away, stronger, wiser, and finally, whole. Hey, I know you've been with me on this journey, and I can see the weight of what's happened. The heartbreak. The confusion. The lies. And through all of it, I've fought to hold my ground, to find myself again. But I didn't get here alone. If you felt any of this, if you've ever faced a moment where you had to choose between holding on or walking away, I want to hear from you. Your thoughts, your experiences, your advice, these things matter. Let's talk about it, because we're all in this together. There's no easy way out of situations like this. The pain of betrayal doesn't just vanish, and it doesn't go unnoticed. But through all of that, we can find freedom. It's not about revenge. It's not about keeping score. It's about regaining control of your own story. So, I ask you, how do you take the power back in your own life when everything feels like it's slipping away? What have you learned about walking away from toxic situations, about rebuilding your peace? I want to know what you found works, what advice you'd give to someone standing in the same place I was, trying to figure out which direction to go. The journey isn't over for any of us, and I'm just starting to see the freedom that comes from walking away, not in defeat, but with the quiet strength of knowing I'm better off. You deserve that freedom, too. You deserve to be whole. Share your stories, your insights, your wisdom. Let's build each other up. We've got this. Together.